Alright, today I'll be doing a book review on James Frey's book, A Million Little Pieces. So the book I have is labelled as a memoir. There was a bit of controversy in 2006. Basically, James had said that some of the stuff in the book isn't true, so it's not necessarily called a memoir now. It's a memoir-fiction. So there's a few parts in this book that never happened. A lot of people talk about his dentist experience when he basically got his teeth fixed with no anesthesia, and because he was a drug addict, he could not take any painkillers or anything like that, which was very horrifying reading that. With all of the details that he added in and just the whole experience, it was really horrifying. But it's actually a relief to know that that never happened. However, it does suck that it was a lie in a way as well. So what I'll start off by reading the blurb so you guys kind of have a rough idea. At the age of 23, James Frey woke up on a plane to find his 4 front teeth knocked out, his nose broken, and a hole through his cheek. He had no idea where the plane was headed, nor any recollection of the past 2 weeks. An alcoholic for 10 years and a crack addict for 3. He checked into a treatment facility shortly after landing. There he was told he could either stop using or die before he reached the age of 24. This is Frey's acclaimed account of his 6 weeks in rehab. So I'm pretty sure that in this book it did say that it is at the time at least, it was the best rehab facility in the whole world. However, it also said that there was only a 15% chance that you will never relapse again once leaving the rehab and finishing the program. And I just wanted to say a few things about this book. So it took me, I think, maybe 5 days to read. It is a pretty easy read. However, the dialogue in the book, James doesn't use any punctuation marks. He just kind of does his own thing in the book. As you can see here, so this is basically a conversation with someone. So he'll just kind of do each line to each person, which I personally like. It's really easy to follow. To me, it just makes a little bit more sense. I don't know, I really like that. Another thing I really liked was after a horrific experience in the book, he added these. So just a page with scribble. And I basically took it as his head was just in shambles and it was just complete chaos. Usually the next page after that chaotic, piece, he would then just wake up, walk out of bed, do his morning routine. The fact that he wrote this book while he was in rehab, so majority of this book is him in rehab for 6 weeks. It can be a little repetitive in a way, but I guess spending time in rehab is repetitive, right? You go to your lectures, you have your breakfast, you do your jobs, you just basically get to know the other people in there. So I understand why it did seem very repetitive to the reader, but I guess not a whole lot is going on in the book. So to the parts that were true in the book, he basically opened up a lot to the reader. His inner thoughts, his experiences. There was a time, like a part in the book where he writes 21 pages of basically everything he's experienced in his life that has been quite traumatic. They were quite horrifying experiences. I don't exactly know if all of it was true, if some of it was made up, but he basically confessed to a priest in the book, and some of the stuff he read was quite horrifying. It was very graphic, and they were his secrets, and he opened that up to the reader, and I really admired his strength in that. Another thing that I really admired was a lot of the times you will get to know his inner thoughts about other people in the like in the rehabilitation center, and it's interesting to get an insight on that. There's a guy that he really admired. He really admired this guy's strength, and he was just called the bald man. And yeah, I don't know, his perception on the bald man, I really liked that. Another thing that I really liked about this book is you get to know other people. So other people that are in the rehab with him, you get to kind of know them in a way. You kind of get a little bit of their story. However, you don't really get an idea on their personality, and you don't really get to know James Frey's personality or what he's like as a person. But I also, now that I'm saying that now, it'd kind of be really hard to get to know someone's personality because he's in rehab, he spent years on drugs, so he probably doesn't even know who he is anymore. At the end of the book, I keep rereading this. After I finish this book, I keep rereading this. This end part, so each person that he really got to know and that he built a relationship with, and that I got to read a lot about, it basically says what happened to everyone. If people ended up relapsing, if people made it out, if people died, and just kind of what happened to them. Because I think it's important that we know what happened to James Frey's friends as well as him. And yeah, I would recommend it to someone else. I think because it's false, because some of it is false, I would only recommend it to people who have an interest in these kinds of books. But yeah, I think I really like this book, and I will probably want to read it again at some point. Just the fact that it wasn't all true, I don't know, makes me second think about who I would recommend it to. Before I found out it was false, I probably would have rated it maybe an 8 out of 10, because I do love biographies, and I love reading about people's lives and the things that they've gone through and the battles that they've won within themselves and their situation. But after finding out that some of it was false, I think I probably would give it maybe a 5 out of 10, because it was still, to me, beautifully written. The way he described the landing and the woods surrounding his unit, and how that made him really calm. And I don't know, there was a lot of beauty in this book, despite the location he was at and what he was going through. I also just wanted to add, when I finished this book, I decided to look it up and just to see if I can find anything else, because I was really interested in maybe what had happened after. I believe that he ended up writing 2 other books. He wrote another book called, I'm pretty sure it's My Friend Leonard. I will definitely be reading that after, as Leonard was another patient at this facility, and they just built a very strong bond. You find out what happens to Leonard at the end. And also, while researching and looking up this book and the author, I found out that they had actually made a movie about this, and I think I'll be watching the movie. Yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this book review. It's my first one, and overall I would recommend this. I really enjoyed it.